VanEck says October's pullback for Bitcoin is a mid-cycle reset, not a bear market. Leverage has normalized the rising on-chain activity, and liquidity continues driving the cycle. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP family. Appreciate all the love. Let's get right in today's update and see what's really happening. So over the last 1 hour, going into Thursday morning, market is shifting back into the green. And again, if you're looking at the last 24 hours, a lot of coins are seeing green right now, but that's specifically over the last 2 to 3 hours, to be quite frank with you, because we were seeing a retracement prior to that. XRP price $2.41, up about 1.1% on the Bitcoin side of things, seeing a little bit of a lag. 1.1% on the USD side of things. We're seeing a little bit of a lag on the Bitcoin side of things, about 0.3%, because dominance is higher than where it was last night. As far as the valuation is concerned, $144.6 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at $4 billion. As always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So I wanted to show you something very interesting here, and it's this. So around 101.4 million worth of Bitcoin, about 20 million worth of Ethereum were sold on October 22nd. But look what BlackRock is doing. BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF bought 28,600 Ethereum worth 110.7 million on October 22nd. Let that sink in. These guys are picking up Ethereum while there is so much fear across the board. 110.7 million worth. That is massive, massive stuff here. But let's take a look at this. Shout out to Quentin as always. Look what Quentin says. Honestly, most people believe in the 4-year cycle just because it worked before, not because it actually makes sense. We love patterns, even if we don't understand them. So many guarantee quote-unquote patterns have already broken in the past few years. The 4-year cycle is next. The moment the cycle breaks, people will realize it was never the 4-year magic. It was always liquidity and macro cycles. So very interesting take from Quentin. As you guys know, I emphasize about the 4-year cycle a lot, and we talk about, the super cycle, this and that, yada, yada, yada. Super cycle is pretty much once you break this 4-year cycle, because, we're actually coming closer to the 4-year cycle in, and now you're starting to see a lot of conversations. And believe it or not, guys, I've been in this space. I'm looking at it from an unbiased side of things and a realistic side of things. I've been in this space for almost 10 years, and around the end of, the cycle itself, always these types of conversations come up, whether the cycle is going to break and, there's no longer a 4-year cycle. Every single time before, it just never made sense. But this time around, there could be an argument made because, of course, the institutional demand is here. We're seeing adoption coming in for the, cryptocurrencies that we have never seen before. So, a very, very interesting, time here. Again, me specifically, I'm still quoting 2025 or early 2026, Q1. I've specified that on the channel quite a bit. No one's going to tell you exactly where the top is going to be. No one's going to say that, but I'm projecting somewhere around there we should see market top. But based off of the major liquidation that we saw this month, usually you do tend to see October being a great month. It's known as Uptober, but this month so far, again, it's not over yet, but we're still seeing a major lag, compared to the previous months in previous cycles and years, of course. So could we see this time completely be different and this bull market extending? The only way it makes sense to me now, and where my timeline is Jan or Feb of next year, like I said, Q1 of next year, is due to the fact that we haven't even seen rate cuts get to the level you have seen in the past. It's just been one rate cut at this point. QE hasn't started, which is of course quantitative easing, and on top of that, obviously we need to keep these factors in mind, like the ones we have discussed, and that is a conversation that comes up every single time. But again, to find out, we're going to know, obviously, next year to see how the market reacts. But remember the bill. If the bill passes, let's say, we do see the market top sometime there, and then mid next year we see the bill passing. Is that going to bring in more interest? Or if that happens before, is that going to continue to get this pattern going? We'll see what happens. But I do agree with Quentin that, this time around could be different. But, again, it is due to the regulatory clarity coming in towards crypto space. Bills passing towards crypto, banks coming, towards the crypto industry like they have never before. There's a lot happening within this space. But again, if the bear market were to kick in And even if the super cycle, even if the bear market were to kick in, I still do believe 99% of the entire crypto market is still going to have an impact from, the bear market. I still think that maybe, the projects that have built up a credibility for themselves, the ones that have that mass adoption factor, the ones that have that utility aspect behind it, maybe they're the ones that are not going to be impacted so much. But again, right now, a lot of people are projecting that, the 4-year cycle is no longer in play. We'll see what happens as, time goes by. But again, risk strategy comes into play, right? No one's going to be guaranteeing you here right now. These are all speculation. No one really knows whether or not we're going to see, market extending. So if you're sitting at like some massive profits, no one's going to be coming here and promising you that, the 4-year cycle is done. That's where your risk strategy comes into play. If you think that you don't want to take the risk, then again, you guys know that, it's very clear to lock those profits in when you see them. And not get greedy. Again, you need to be following your own timeline, making sure your exit strategies are in play. But obviously, if you're in for the long haul, then it doesn't really make sense. It's pretty much obvious. Patience is your number one key to follow, and I'm sure you guys know that. But take a look at this. Ripple Swell event is coming up. As we know, November is approaching very, very fast, and Ripple Swell event is going to be taking place, sorry guys, in NYC. So now look who's going to be taking part of this event. Scott Lucas, head of markets, digital assets at JP Morgan. But take a look at this in case you have forgotten, and this is something I've been talking to you guys about on this channel, yet a lot of people tend to forget about this. 11 XRP treasury companies as of now. Evernorth, 1 billion, the biggest one, obviously Rippleback, expected to deploy on Flare, Trident, Webis, list goes on. And a lot of people are not paying attention to this. And treasury, they're building XRP treasury, the native token. Yes, this coin right here. They're building it for that. This gets me bullish for the long term. Of course, they see interest, of course, if they want to build a treasury. They see that, the price of XRP would appreciate in the future. That's obviously how it makes sense. But let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are on this. Very, very interesting, and I think a lot of people overlook this signal right here. But take a look at what this person says. We are seeing institutional interest expand beyond Bitcoin to tokens like XRP, and this is coming from NASDAQ spokespersons. And look at Crypto Insight UK. Totally agree with this. Does anyone see anything not bullish about the 12-month XRP chart? Thank you, Crypto Insight UK. This is something we've been emphasizing on this channel. People don't look at that. Would you rather have the price of XRP sitting at the November levels of last year? Because almost 1 year ago, the price of XRP was at 51 cents. And I'm sure a lot of people wish they could go back. And yet, there's so many people, fighting that the price is in the 38.2. And a lot of people were panicking. And I wouldn't say panicking. A lot of people were, talking and, fudding the price of XRP when it was in the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement level. And yet I probably, wonder whether or not people want to see the price back in the 23.6. I'm sure a lot of people want the price to get back up to the $3 key range. And believe it or not, as a content creator, you see everything in here. When the price was consolidating within the 23.6 since July till this month, obviously, after this major liquidation, this is where, the price of XRP really dropped below the 23.6, but still remaining within the 38.2. But, here, we had so much FUD. People were commenting, oh, XRP this, XRP that. Zoom out. Take a look at the bigger picture. That's all I always say. But let's take a look at what's happening with the dominance here. Let's give it a refresh live. So the dominance right here is picking up strength compared to last night. I obviously highlighted this in some of my other videos as well. We actually broke out to 60.10%, as you can see for yourself. But since then, we have seen a retracement. And Bitcoin, on the other hand, is trying to reclaim back in the 23.6 fib zone. We saw a major wick up to $114,000, obviously, on the 21st. But that's not what we want to be paying attention to. We want to be paying attention to what happened just 24 hours back. We reclaimed back in the 23.6, got rejected, came down, and right now things are picking up. So again, you want to see that close, as we always talk about, the 23.6 close. And I think that would be where interesting things really start happening. But as of now, we're not there. We want to get to that price point. As far as XRP's price is concerned, when we did see the price of Bitcoin go up to this key range at $111,000 a few hours back, the price of XRP did react to that in a negative way. Right now, I know you guys are probably wondering, why in the world did the price of XRP react in a negative way? Due to this was short-lived. We saw the price of Bitcoin rejecting here fall down to 109. And look what happened to the dominance. Dominance saw a major spike towards the upside, which caused a lag for the market. But the price of XRP back in the 38.2, sitting at $2.41. Very nice. Again, targets remain to be around the $2.52 since we want to break above this key resistance. But again, keep an eye out on Bitcoin. Love each and every one of you guys. Thanks for all the support. We'll see you later from Crypto ZX, and peace out.